Hello everyone. This story is about, what if Naruto was saved by the Daimyo and became his harbinger? After saving Naruto, the Daimyo appoints teachers who help Naruto become the Daimyo's eyes and ears in Konoha. A place the Daimyo himself is not sure deserves to exist after what it had done to Naruto. Please like, share and subscribe. Now let's start. Today was a special day for the Leaf. The Fire Daimyo was in Konoha, touring it with his bodyguards, and a few select shinobi appointed by the Sandaime Hokage himself. The tour was a routine check by the Daimyo to see the progress of the Leaf, how it had grown since Kyuubi's sudden attack 7 years ago. And the overall status of the village the feudal lord had invested in like his father along with his father's own father years ago. The man wasn't scrawny like some of his fellow daimyos, who had inherited their positions, and done nothing to improve themselves. This Fire Daimyo, as with his father and grandfather before him had trained themselves to be in peak fighting condition. The reliance of shinobi was not something the Fire Daimyo liked to consider regardless of how cost-effective using them over maintaining an army of samurai. Still, the resources put into Konoha had helped greatly in the long run, and had put a great deal of effort into balancing out funding both. At the moment, the routine inspection was going well, which was to be expected given the current track record, and yet for the Fire Daimyo it seemed so boring. The routine inspection was so routine. A bow from a person here. A smile there. No real chaos like back when Uzumaki Kushina was around pulling pranks on people. Oh, how the Fire Daimyo missed that when he traveled with his father on some occasions, and silently wished it would happen now. Strange how Kami answers one's silent unspoken prayers. Get back here, demon, yelled a Chunin chasing a blonde-haired boy, who was currently being pursued, and chased by several other shinobi of equal rank. Why? So you can just beat me like you did last week, said the blonde boy, as he dove through a hole in a fence, and smirked while running after hearing the loud bang. That followed from the lead shinobi hitting the fence. Get him. Cut the Uzumaki brat off, said another Chunin in pursuit of the blonde. Did I hear the name Uzumaki in connection to that boy? Curious. The Sandaime told me there were no other Uzumaki in existence after Kushina's death. How her child she was expecting died when Kyuubi attacked before the Yondaime could defeat it, thought the Fire Daimyo, as he saw the shinobi pursuing the blonde apparent Uzumaki. And what caught his eye was some of the Chunin had kunai in hand like they were going to hurt the child. But for what purpose? Why would Leaf shinobi use such weapons on a child? Daimyo-sama, excuse the sudden surprise and interruption of your inspection. I assure you the demon brat will be punished accordingly and brought before the Sandaime to face justice, said one of the Leaf shinobi assigned to the escort. No. That's all right. Seeing that brought back some interesting and fond memories. Tell me, why do you call the boy demon brat like the others, and why did one of them call the child Uzumaki for that matter, said the Fire Daimyo seeing the shinobi stiffen and look nervous. We can't say Daimyo-sama. We are under orders from the Hokage under a law he made to not reveal the reason, said another Leaf shinobi of Jounin rank. I see. And that law includes me? Are you saying the Daimyo of Fire Country cannot be told due to this law, said the Fire Daimyo while looking intently at the Leaf shinobi that had just spoken. No. I mean yes. I mean I don't know Daimyo-sama, said the Jounin, as he knew the law the Sandaime made was to keep the children from know about the fox. But to use it against the Fire Daimyo was totally unexpected, and unheard of in terms of keeping such information from the only man higher in rank than the Hokage. It doesn't matter. Let's continue with the inspection, said the Fire Daimyo in a sudden cold tone that told the Leaf shinobi he was not pleased. With the Leaf shinobi walking in front of him, the Fire Daimyo made a hand motion, and brought one of his samurai close to him to lean forward. After whispering silently to the man an order, the samurai nodded, and discreetly left the escort to carry out the order of his daimyo. The tone in which the feudal lord spoke indicated the order was to be carried out now or die later. Get back here, brat, said one of the Chunin chasing the boy while mentally cursing at letting the kid out of his sight for one whole second, despite the Hokage's orders to keep the boy away from the Fire Daimyo. Go kiss a dog, said Naruto, as he dodged a kunai thrown at him, and several shuriken his pursers launched. Damn that Kyuubi brat. I'm going to enjoy skinning him alive, said one Chunin, as he wished his weapons made contact, and make the boy cry out in pain. Get in line, said the other Chunin knowing he was going to beat the boy bloody for disobeying them and staying in his room. They soon tracked the boy to an alley and found him unable to escape them. Grinning at their sudden victory, the group of Chunin grabbed the boy, who now struggled to get free, but the Chunin were far from civil, as they beat the boy, and calling him names. They knew the boy would heal up. That any injury given would vanish within a few mere minutes, and any complaint the boy made to the Hokage would fall on deaf ear since there would be no proof of such abuse. "Anything to say before we drag you to the Hokage," said one Chunin, who gave the boy a hard kick to the ribs, and glared hatefully at the child. "Bite me," said Naruto before he was kicked again in the face. "Insolent demon. We allow you to live in this village out of the graces of our hearts, and all we ask is you obey like the good pet you're supposed to be while living in Konoha. The very fact you live is an insult to the Yondaime Hokage, but we tolerate you because the Sandaime wishes it, and tolerate your existence," said another Chunin, taking out a kunai and about to give the boy a few well-deserved stabs, knowing they could make up some story later. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," said a voice behind the group of Chunin, seeing them turn in his direction. "Who are you?" said the Chunin with the kunai in hand. "I am a samurai under the command of the Fire Daimyo. In his name, you are all hereby ordered to stand down and move away from the injured child," said the samurai with the Chunin sneering at him. "You? Ordering us? You samurai think you're all hot shit because you work for the Fire Daimyo, but one samurai against 5 of us is suicide, and this creature is not worth your life. Go back to the Daimyo and tell him this is not his concern," said one Chunin while the samurai narrowed his eyes at them. "This is your one and only warning, Konoha shinobi. I will not give you a second one, for I will kill you in this alley," said the samurai with the 5 Chunin, looking angrily at him with their intention of hurting the blonde, now aimed at their new target. "I highly doubt that, samurai. I say we kill this nosy fool, blame the Kyubi brat, and see the Fire Daimyo order the monster is killed," said one of the other Chunin, as they now charged the samurai, who held his ground and quickly killed the group of shinobi in a decisive manner befitting a man of his skills, before sheathing his blade. Just because Konoha was knowing 7 years of peace didn't mean the Fire Daimyo samurai would become weak from it like these shinobi clearly did. The one thing the samurai did in times of peace that shinobi did not was prepare for war and keep the mind along with the body sharp in the event war breaks out for any reason. "Why?" said Naruto, seeing the samurai turn to look at him. "Why what?" said the samurai when walking over to the child. "Why did you save me?" "No one has ever done that before today," said Naruto, seeing the man look at him with surprise. "What do you mean? This isn't the first attack aimed at you," said the samurai before he kneeled down in front of the boy. "This is minor compared to the usual ones. The worst ones are on my birthday." "Don't tell the old man I told you this," said Naruto pleadingly. "Why would you not want the Hokage to know about my knowing of this action?" said the samurai while alarm bells were ringing off in the back of his head. "If old man Hokage finds out that I told anyone outside the village about this, he will hate me since I'm putting Konoha in a bad light, and I don't want to be hated anymore by anyone," said Naruto with the samurai's anger rising from this news. "I see. Don't worry, little one. I agree with you. We will keep this incident a secret from the Hokage for now, but I need you to come with me to meet someone very important and interested in meeting you," said the samurai, seeing joy fill the boy's bright blue eyes at meeting someone important. "Really? Who is it?" "Is it the Fire Daimyo you mentioned working for?" said Naruto with a sense of eagerness while seeing the samurai smile at him. "Yes, I am." "You're very smart for a boy your age," said the samurai, knowing few would remember such thing, and even fewer after getting their head kicked in. "Was the boy's injuries healing already? What was going on?" "I tried to learn given how," said Naruto before looking away to hide the sadness on his face. "Given how people treat you? They don't want you to learn, do they, little one?" said the samurai with the boy unable to look him in the eyes. "I can't say. If old man Hokage finds out I'm saying even this much to anyone," said Naruto while trying to hold back his tears in front of the samurai. "I understand. Don't worry though. Like I said, you are not going to meet with the third Hokage, and we'll make sure this incident isn't revealed to him until much later when the time is right that it's okay for him to know." "What's your name?" said the samurai, seeing the boy look a bit lost for a second, but that was to be expected from a 7-year-old, and just needed the right teachers. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and someday I'm going to be the strongest person to ever live," said Naruto with fire in his eyes, and the samurai let out a chuckle. "Well, Uzumaki Naruto, I can say without a doubt that you are well on your way, and I am sure the Fire Daimyo would agree," said the samurai, as he picked up the boy and moved quickly to the destination of the daimyo's carriage, where he was ordered to keep the boy until they departed from Konoha. Personally, the samurai was more than pleased to leave the village, and couldn't wait to get out of here. Naruto had fallen asleep while waiting to meet the Fire Daimyo in his carriage, which was fine with the samurai assigned to get and watch over him. The fire daimyo didn't mind either after his loyal warrior told him what he witnessed and how the Sandaime Hokage was involved on some level with the child's abuse. It made the feudal lord's blood boil at hearing the boy being beaten, called names, and the fact the child was an Uzumaki out of all children in Konoha made the man furious. When Naruto awoke from his slumber, he found himself in a comfortable bed, in a place that was very nice, and wondered what he had done to deserve this special treatment. He didn't prank anyone in Konoha, well, not recently anyway, and Naruto doubted such an act would get him in the good graces of anyone like the fire daimyo. Unless the feudal lord was a prank enthusiast, though something told Naruto that pranking fire daimyo or anyone close to him was not a wise move for himself. A knock at the door and a maid popped her head in to see him. "Oh, Naruto-san, you're awake. You must have been really tired. The daimyo is expecting you soon," said the maid, as she walked in, and saw the boy's eyes widen in realization of what the samurai told him. "He is? Oh no. What do I do?" said Naruto in a panicky voice, acting like any normal panicking child would do in his situation. And looking around frantically for a means to counter this situation, with the maid just letting out a giggle. "Calm down, Naruto-san. The daimyo won't be angry with you for wanting to look your best in his presence. I've come here to help you get ready to meet him," said the maid, as she saw Naruto look at her with surprise. And hope that he had a chance to make a good impression on the only person outranking the Hokage. "Really? Thank you," said Naruto happily. "You're welcome, Naruto-san. My name is Kikyo. First, I'm going to get your bath ready, and one of my fellow maids will come in with a fresh set of clothes for you to wear after we're done," said the maid, having a son of her own at Naruto's age. "You're going to help me with my bath, Kikyo-chan," said Naruto, suddenly surprised that she would help him since no one helped the boy when at the orphanage with anything. "Of course. It is my duty. Besides, I have a boy roughly your age, and him bathing alone is not something a responsible adult should do," said Kikyo with a smile, and helped the boy to the nearby bathroom where the bath was set up. The fire daimyo looked at the boy sitting across from him, looking nervous while trying at the same time to be respectful and not fidget in his presence. Not easy to do with a 7-year-old filled with energy, and even more difficult when the child is an Uzumaki. It was clear Naruto had questions about things, but knew better than to ask things right away, and was waiting for Regal Man to speak. The boy was smart for his age, despite the evidence of his education being next to nothing, while possibly being given just enough of a basic education to read, write, and speak when such a task would be required of him. "You have questions, young one. Ask them and I will answer to the best of my ability," said the fire daimyo calmly to the boy. "First, I want to thank you, and the samurai responsible for saving me. He said you were interested in speaking to me, and if it wasn't for him," said Naruto, unable to finish the sentence. "I'm firmly against child cruelty, Naruto-san. Something the Sandaime Hokage is not, or only in certain cases," said the fire daimyo, seeing Naruto frown a bit. "The old man isn't bad. He's taken care of me for the most part when possible due to his busy schedule," said Naruto, with the fire daimyo nodding to indulge the boy, though his mind thought differently given what had happened to the child, with the incident being one among many. Being Hokage is tiresome just like it is being daimyo. Still, with such a title like we have subordinates who are given orders and must be followed to the letter. Though for a shinobi of the leaf has to do it in 2 ways. 1. The order must not be treasonous to the leaf, as well as against the Hokage running Konoha, and on a higher level against me, said the fire daimyo, seeing the boy nod with some understanding. "So those shinobi that attacked me were committing acts of treason," said Naruto, seeing the feudal lord nod. "As well as several other laws of this land in which I rule." "Tell me, Naruto-san, how many attacks have you suffered while living in the leaf?" said the fire daimyo curiously, and the boy stiffened. I can't say," said Naruto, seeing the man close his eyes for a moment in thought. "You don't have to, since my samurai responsible for rescuing you earlier told me it was more than just that one incident he witnessed. Some were even worse on your birthday, correct?" said the fire daimyo, with Naruto nodding slowly. "Yes, sir," said Naruto, while the fire daimyo looked at him with those piercing, soul-searching eyes. "Do you know why? I'm sure you've asked the Hokage why they attack you, right?" said the fire daimyo, seeing Naruto nod. "I have, but the old man told me I was too young to understand, and would explain it to me one day," said Naruto, seeing the feudal lord's eyes harden. "I bet he did. Beat any sense of right and wrong out of the boy, so when he was told there would be no resistance in his mind." "Damn you, Sarutobi," thought the fire daimyo, before refocusing on the curious and yet cautious boy. "Do you know why I am hated?" said Naruto, seeing the man's eyes soften now. "I have a theory, Naruto. Though I need time to gather evidence before I can confirm it and tell you if it's even true, said the fire daimyo, seeing Naruto nod. What about my parents? The villagers said hateful things about them. Calling my mom bad names I shouldn't repeat, as well as something about my dad too, but the Hokage told me they were great people in Konoha, and yet, he wouldn't tell me who they were. Do you know who they are? You're the most important person in the land and would know who they are, right? Said Naruto, with the fire daimyo's blood now boiling with rage at hearing this new piece of information. I do know who your parents are, Naruto. Whatever mean things they say about them and the names they are called are not correct. Far from it. They were great people and heroes of the leaf. I don't know why the Sandaime didn't tell you who they are, but he should have done that, and more importantly he should have told me you were alive, said the fire daimyo. As he saw Naruto looking at him curiously, and with hope in knowing the names of his parents. You know who they are? Can you tell me? Please, Daimyo-sama. I won't ask anything of you if this one wish could be granted. Please tell me who my parents were, said Naruto, getting on the floor and bowing to the shocked man. Rise, child. I do not wish to see the son of my two close personal friends bowing to me in this manner, said the fire daimyo before walking around his desk and now kneeling before this child with tears running down his whiskered face. Who were they? Please tell me, said Naruto, seeing the feudal lord nod. Your parents' names were Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. Your father was the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha, and your mother was heiress to the Uzumaki clan. She was the last Uzumaki when Whirlpool Country was destroyed in one of the shinobi wars and was considered the last before you came along, said the fire daimyo, seeing Naruto was surprised to hear this and was unable to comprehend this information. My father was the Yondaime Hokage? No. No. It's not true. That can't be true. If it was, then the people wouldn't hate me, said Naruto, as he hit the fire daimyo in the chest area, and the feudal lord held the boy close. I'm sorry, Naruto. I truly am. Believe me when I tell you that they were your parents, said the fire daimyo, while the boy cried in his arms while struggling to accept that his parents had been such great people while he himself was treated less than the garbage people tossed outside into alleys that stray animals went for food. Why? Why do people hate me? Why do they love my parents, but hate me, said Naruto, seeing the fire daimyo sigh, knowing he really wasn't sure himself, but still had an idea of why. And yet, Naruto didn't need to be freaked out right now. I think I know why, Naruto, but I am unsure if the reason is in fact what I suspected, and if you give me time I will find out why. I don't want to give you an answer that isn't true, said the fire daimyo, seeing Naruto nod silently. Where will I stay while you're finding this out, said Naruto after a moment, since he did not have a home to live in. Here in the palace with me, said the fire daimyo, knowing the boy would be safer here than in Konoha. Here? Are you sure, said Naruto nervously, since he didn't want to impose. I insist, Naruto. You are hereby considered my guest of honor in my home, said the fire daimyo, with the boy looking so happy at this news. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be on my best behavior. No pranks, said Naruto, knowing that to be a hellraiser in Konoha was one thing, but in a place like this, and someone so high up, was unwise. The fire daimyo just laughed. Well, maybe a prank or two wouldn't hurt. My guards need to be tested on occasion so they don't slack off. Just let me know in advance when it's coming, said the fire daimyo, as he saw the boy grin, and knew Naruto got it from his mother. Deal, said Naruto, with the two laughing with the boy's laugh truly being truly genuine this time. Excellent. Now, Naruto, while you are here, I want to see you become strong like your parents, and one day surpass them. For that to happen, I'm going to arrange a series of teachers from my samurai, several of the Guardian 12, and even shinobi handpicked by myself to oversee the training for the next couple of years. Do you approve? Said the fire daimyo, seeing the boy nod enthusiastically at the idea. Absolutely, said Naruto, seeing the man smile further. Follow me. We're going to meet some of them right now, said the fire daimyo, as he walked out of the room with Naruto right beside him, and the desire to become great swelling within the boy's blue eyes. The Sandaime Hokage entered the fire daimyo's office. He had been escorted there by a select group of the man's samurai after traveling to the capital of Fire Country when the feudal lord summoned him here. The third Hokage didn't know why the fire daimyo was summoning him here, but the way some of the samurai were actually glaring right at him told they were not pleased with what they knew about this. And somehow whatever the issue was about had some deep connection to his position as Hokage. Asuma was no help either, as he had stopped writing letters for the past 3 weeks, and no one close to his son here in the fire country capital could give him an answer. The old Kage was starting to feel a cold shiver run up his spine when he sat down. The eyes of the fire daimyo were cold. A far cry from the usual warmth he had seen the last time the feudal lord had visited, and even that moment was not as warm like the Hokage had hoped. The Sandaime remembered it being a faded warmth from the usual amount the feudal lord gave when greeting him, and now there was only a deep coldness within the regal man's eyes. "Do you know why I've called you here, Sandaime Hokage?" said the fire daimyo, as he saw the old man before him shifting uncomfortable. And knew it was more than just the nervousness felt from being looked at with such scrutiny. There were many seals secretly put around the room. Seals placed there at the request of his grandfather many years ago to the Uzumaki seal master at the time to prevent the use of chakra in the room. Uzumaki Mito's teacher, if the fire daimyo remembered correctly. The man had seen to it that the seals were the best ever made. Wouldn't wear away, wash away, and or be removed in any way possible. At this moment, the Sandaime Hokage was an old man, and had no power in this room. The god of shinobi was reduced to an old man in this room with no power, no chakra, and no strength to fight against the much younger man that commanded all of fire country. "No, Daimyo-sama. Your message said to come here immediately, and I obeyed," said the Hokage, seeing the feudal lord of fire country frowned slightly. "Indeed. My message did that. In fact, I believe I wrote in my message that I was in fact commanding you to come here immediately 1 week ago," said the fire daimyo, seeing the Sandaime wince slightly. "There was an internal matter of who would be running Konoha until my return, and there were several volunteers," said the Hokage, with the fire daimyo frowning further. "It took you nearly a week to decide? Such a temporary replacement should not take so long to put into position unless you were dragging your feet and there was something else that you felt required such a delay in seeing me," said the fire daimyo, seeing the elderly Kage wince again. "I admit I was delayed, and for that I am sorry, Daimyo-sama," said the Sandaime, while the feudal lord scowled further with a fury in his eyes the Hokage had never seen in the man until now. "Do I come off as a fool to you, Hiruzen? Do you honestly think I am some kind of naive idiot?" said the fire daimyo, with the Hokage looking shocked at his line of questioning. "Daimyo-sama, I don't understand." Aye, said Hiruzen, while the fire daimyo reached his limit in terms of patience with the Hokage and slammed his fist down on his desk. "Do not take me for fool. You know damn well why you were late to my summons," yelled the fire daimyo, seeing the Hokage looking like a deer caught in headlights. The Hokage did know why. Hiruzen had turned Konoha inside and out the past week, trying to find a single person in the village. A single child, which he didn't even know was missing until much later due to the shinobi, or the people in general within the village not caring about what happened to this boy. The Hokage went to every place in Konoha he knew the boy liked to hang out, searching for the child, hoping the villagers and a shinobi didn't do anything too damaging to the child. A boy named Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. "Daimyo-sama, I don't know," said the Hokage, as he saw the younger man frowning at him, and knew lying was pointless here. "You don't know what? You don't know where Uzumaki Naruto is? Is that what you want to say?" said the fire daimyo, while seeing the old Kage before him sweating up a storm. How did, said the Sandaime, while trying to figure things out in his head. "How did I know? How did I find out? As in, how did I find out that the son of my 2 dearest friends of mine was being abused by the very village they defended so nobly?" said the fire daimyo, while the Hokage was trying to keep his composure. "This isn't happening," thought the Sandaime, while the fire daimyo produced a folder filled with information. "The boy has been here for 3 weeks. Since then, I've had my agents do a little digging in Konoha, and found some interesting pieces of information. Now, before you begin to ask yourself, how did I not know about this, I want you to remember that my resources are not limited to my samurai and the shinobi of Konoha that are apparently more loyal to you than you are to me," said the fire daimyo, pushing the folder filled with various pieces of information to the Hokage, who dared not touch or open it like the contents held some kind of disease. "What has the boy told you about Konoha?" said the Sandaime at last, though his voice was barely a muffled whisper. "Enough. After our talk, I felt the need to launch my own personal investigation and see into some things about the boy's life you've been keeping from me," said the fire daimyo with narrowed eyes. "The boy needed to be protected," said the Sandaime weakly, with his voice lacking the conviction of that statement. "Oh, I agree, the boy needed to be protected, but not by Leaf Shinobi. And certainly not by you," said the fire daimyo, knowing the Hokage was trying to think of a way to get in his good graces and the boy back in Konoha. "Please, Daimyo-sama. The boy is important to the Leaf Village. His parents were, said the Hokage before the feudal lord slammed his fist on the desk again. His parents are dead. I know who they are, Sarutobi, and I know how they died, so don't talk to me like I'm some gullible fool. I also know that they would ashamed of Konoha for treating their only child like they have for so long, said the fire daimyo, seeing the old man before him trying to think of something to get Naruto back in Konoha. The people of Konoha are suffering from their losses Kyuubi gave us 7 years ago. They just need more time to get over their pain, said the Sandaime while sensing killer intent from the guards behind him. And they have to take it out on Naruto? Are you saying that it's okay for them to channel their anger at the child for holding Kyuubi, said the fire daimyo, as he had his doctor examine the boy. And saw the Yondaime's seal, so knowing what was held in the child was not hard to figure out. No. But you can't expect me to not care about the people in Konoha, said the Hokage with the fire daimyo narrowing his eyes at him. What about his godparents? What about Tsunade and Jiraiya? Why haven't they taken up the responsibilities in raising him, said the fire daimyo, with the Hokage shifting uneasily again. I can't say daimyo-sama, said the Hokage, with the feudal lord sneering at him. Can't or won't. Doesn't matter. Perhaps time in our dungeon will loosen your tongue while I appoint a new Hokage more competent than yourself, said the fire daimyo before motioning his guards to take the man away. Wait. Wait. I'll tell you, said the Sandaime seeing the samurai coming towards him. Well? Answer me, said the fire daimyo while glaring with sheer intensity at the old man. Jiraiya and Tsunade they don't want anything to do with Naruto at all, said the Sandaime with the fire daimyo's killer intent rising, and the old Kage was truly fearful of this man. I thought as much. In the past 2 weeks alone, I've been secretly reviewing all financial transactions made since that night Kyuubi attacked, and found very disturbing reading material. Who allowed those two Sannin access the Namikaze and Uzumaki accounts? Who was it that allowed them to not only use it, but allow the village to take a sizable chunk for repair work? Repair work, which I recall was already given funds by me, and from my treasury, said the fire daimyo seeing Hiruzen looking nervous. The money from both clans went to very profitable investments in Konoha after it was realized such an error had been made, said the Sandaime, but the fire daimyo wasn't buying it. And the man pulled out another folder. By profitable investments, do you mean various stores, businesses, and overall house remodeling projects for various members of the civilian council? Some of which didn't even need such remodeling. How is that profitable? More importantly, how is Jiraiya and Tsunade spending the money from both clans to be considered profitable investments as you put it? Said the fire daimyo, seeing the third Hokage silent for a moment. I assure you daimyo-sama, I will get to the bottom of this, and see to it that the money is retrieved too, said Hiruzen, but the daimyo held up his hand, which told the Hokage to shut up and listen to what his feudal lord had to say. Don't insult me with this humble act, Hiruzen. It may have worked before when I fully trusted you to do your job, but my eyes have been opened, and what I see is a pathetic man unworthy of his station. Even as we speak, my auditors are heading to Konoha, and they will be digging deeper into the transactions of the village before punishing the leaf accordingly. All those people that benefited from that money will be taxed and fined heavily. As of this moment, the Namikaze and the Uzumaki clan accounts are frozen until further notice until Naruto is of legal age to have them. As for Jiraiya and Tsunade, they will be unable to use them for their own personal use. And by personal use, I mean no gambling, drinking, paying off debt collectors, and paying for women in the red light district. I am also revoking their Sannin traveling rights and ordering those two back here to face my own personal review of them, said the fire daimyo seeing the third Hokage looking fearful. But you can't. Jiraiya is needed out in the field with his spy network, said the Hokage, since Jiraiya had been helping Konoha. And Tsunade, said the fire daimyo, waiting for the Hokage's excuse for her. She doesn't like Konoha, said the Hokage, while the feudal lord of Fire Country just narrowed his eyes at him. I'm not asking her to return Konoha. I'm commanding Tsunade to come here to the Fire Country capital. If she refuses to obey, then I will mark her down as a missing nin with a massive bounty on her head to ensure your former student gets the message, said the fire daimyo, seeing the old man look pained by hearing this. What about Naruto? Can I see him? Said the Hokage with the fire daimyo, shaking his head no. Out of the question. I've arranged for several of the Guardian 12 to train Naruto. I'm also having one of the few shinobi in Konoha, who I know can be trusted to train him in the shinobi arts, and unleash his true potential. Like you should have done from the start, said the fire daimyo, seeing the Sandaime wince. Please reconsider daimyo-sama. Give me a chance to set things right with Naruto. To let him know I'm sorry, said the Sandaime with the fire daimyo, shaking his head no with disgust written all over his face. No. Naruto does not want anything to do with you, Hiruzen. He knows about his parents. He knows you lied to him time and time again. I will not have you scar or poison that child's mind any more than you already have since his birth, said the fire daimyo with the Hokage looking like he was afraid. Naruto made a promise to me that he would one day become Hokage, said Hiruzen, and the fire daimyo looked ready to take his sword and strike the old Kage down. A promise that I explained to him was invalid due to it being made under false pretenses you set for the boy. Whether or not Naruto sets out to keep his promise and being Hokage like you hoped will be his choice to make, said the fire daimyo, seeing the old Kage did not like this news at all. Don't you see I had no choice? The boy is the key to Konoha's security and future, said Hiruzen, having stood up from his seat with panic clearly on his face. And by key to Konoha's security and future you mean the village weapon. Don't think I don't know about the history behind Jinchuriki and the lives they've lived. Kushina told me herself about how she was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and Uzumaki Mido was the first one before her. I wonder how those two, plus your sensei, and his brother would react if they were here to learn just how Naruto was treated. How you, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and everyone else knowing of your little plan tried to turn the boy into your faithful servant, said the fire daimyo, seeing the Sandaime grit his teeth in anger before using his last trump card. Naruto belongs in Konoha. It was the Yondaime's dying wish that he develop a bond in the village. You cannot deny the dying wish of the Yondaime, said the Sandaime, while the fire daimyo scowled with a look of pure hatred. How dare you? You would use that line on me? You dare use that excuse, knowing full well that the village and its people haven't done that for Naruto. You talk about him developing bonds with the village. You talk of the dying wish of the Yondaime not being denied, but we both know that will never happen so long as he stays in Konoha and is scorned by its people. Your request to have Naruto return to Konoha is denied, and if you try to find out where he is to have him kidnapped, I will liquidate the village to start anew, said the fire daimyo, seeing the Sandaime stiffen since he had planned to do just that. Daimyo-sama, sure you wouldn't do that. The village has stood since the time of my sensei with his brother and Uchiha Madara first founded Konoha, said the third Hokage with the feudal lord of Fire Country looking at him with a deadly serious look in his eyes. You're half right. The village was founded through them, but also with my grandfather's blessing and support within this land that I now rule. A blessing that I am within my own right as ruler of Fire Country to revoke. It is through my money, my resources, and my support that Konoha still stands. Though I'm strongly considering the idea of removing Konoha from the world right now, from how you've tried to defend its actions against the boy. Get out of office, out of the capital, and return to Konoha, where I will soon decide its fate. One more thing, Hiruzen. You will not inform Tsunade or Jiraiya of why I am ordering them back to Konoha. If you do, I'll order your execution for treason against me, said the fire daimyo, seeing the Hokage was fighting the urge to yell at the feudal lord for saying such a thing. I understand, Daimyo-sama. May I ask what has become of my son Asuma? I have not heard anything from him for some time, said Hiruzen, knowing he could at least get that much from the fire daimyo. I've ordered your son to stay here in the capital, but denied him the right to contact you about everything, and anything regarding Naruto since the boy's arrival. Before you think he knows where Naruto is located, I will stop that line of thought for you, and say that the man does not know the boy's location. I do not trust him just as I have come to not trust you. That is all I will say on the matter. Now get out of my sight, Hiruzen. I don't want to see you unless it's absolutely necessary, said the fire daimyo, pointing to the door, and the third Hokage bowed rigidly. All I have ever done has been for the greatness of Konoha and Fire Country, said the third Hokage, and the fire daimyo scoffed. If that were true, Hiruzen, you wouldn't have revealed Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki, and made sure the village populace didn't know either, said the fire daimyo, before his two guards escorted the Hokage out of his home. Moments later, a shinobi monk by the name of Chiraku walked in, and bowed to the fire daimyo before handing him a report. Reading it over, the fire daimyo smiled at what he read, and the monk himself did too, since the report regarded Naruto. I've never seen a child so cautious of new people and yet so happy in all my time being alive, said Chiraku, having seen the child hesitate to meet the shinobi monks at the fire temple. Bansai has already grown attached to him already, I see. He's become something of a surrogate grandfather to the boy, said the fire daimyo, seeing Chiraku smirk. Yeah. Naruto was hesitant at first to be around so many of us, but when we showed we're not like the people in Konoha, he seemed happy, and it breaks my heart knowing Konoha tried to take that away. said Chiriku, seeing his feudal lord frown slightly. Konoha will pay for their actions against the boy. I will see to it, said the fire daimyo, knowing his wrath would be minor compared to Naruto's should he wish to unleash his fury on the village. And the fire daimyo would let him too. Young Sentoki sees Konoha's actions to be unforgivable and has already tried to help in Naruto's education in many things the leaf would deny him. I've already begun some measure of training for Naruto too, and find his energy to be impressive for one so young. Though given his status as Jinchuriki of Kyubi, it is to be expected, and we intend for the boy to be well trained when the time comes to defend himself, said Chiriku. As he was having the boy work on his normal training exercises, and then intended to get into the weapon training with a bow staff. Good. I want Naruto to reach his full potential. I've also had one of my agents get a message out to Uchiha Itachi and informing him of his services to me regarding Naruto, said the fire daimyo, while Chiriku was surprised to hear this. The Uchiha Itachi? I've heard of him, but only by reputation, and here he's quite good for someone his age, said Chiriku, knowing the Uchiha was supposed to be very strong and would be an excellent teacher. Yes. I made sure he understood this mission was not to be shared by anyone in Konoha due to them currently scrambling to find the child now that they realize he's no longer in the village, said the fire daimyo, seeing Chiriku nod. With Itachi's help, I have no doubt Naruto will be one of the strongest shinobi since his parents, but when his training is complete, won't he be under the jurisdiction of the leaf? And the Hokage, said Chiriku, seeing the fire daimyo shake his head no. No. I'm having the boy become a shinobi under my direct command. He will be my very own agent in the shadows, so I will no longer be led astray with nativity in believing the Hokage or the village in general can be fully trusted. When his training is complete, I will have him enter Konoha, and Naruto will secretly observe the village before giving me a report on the current situation, said the fire daimyo, seeing Chiriku nod. Asuma asked me about Naruto when I came here to speak with you, Daimyo-sama. I've come to suspect he's going to inform his father of the boy's location if I reveal it, said Chiriku, while the fire daimyo scowled. Don't tell him anything, Chiriku. Asuma is more loyal to his father than to me, and while I understand why that is the case on account of their blood ties, this matter does not have anything to do with that, said the fire daimyo, with the shinobi monk nodding. When do you expect Naruto's so-called godparents to arrive, said Chiriku, seeing the feudal lord to think about this for a moment. Soon. After I cut their access to each clan account they each took, neither will come back just for that alone, but rather to find out why their traveling rights have been revoked, and seek to get them back. Those two Sannin have some nerve to abandon Naruto and then drain a hefty sum of his inheritance from both sides of his family. Something I intend to see hurts them in the long run, and that to go against my ruling would be unwise, said the fire daimyo, seeing Chiriku nodding in agreement. Does Naruto know about his godparents, said Chiriku, knowing that those two might try to get close to Naruto and poison his mind like the Sandaime did in Konoha. No. Up until now, I did not know anything about it, but the Yondaime's will, which I required from one of my agents, hereby stated that should anything happen to him and his mother, they were to take care of the boy. The will was unsealed that very night. The Kyubi was sealed into Naruto by the Sandaime, as this seal, when broken, also tells who broke it, and the time it was broken, said the fire daimyo, seeing Chiriku frown slightly with confusion. There is still something I don't understand, Daimyo-sama. If the Sandaime, Jiraiya, and Tsunade knew the boy was their son, why did they do this to him? Why did the Hokage manipulate things? Why did Jiraiya and Tsunade abandon him? It doesn't make sense, said Chiriku, while the fire daimyo nodded in agreement. When the two Sannin get here, Chiriku, I will see to it they answer my question, and for their crimes against the boy, said the fire daimyo, knowing those two had a lot to answer for, and he was going to see to it that they did, one way or another. Naruto could honestly say he loved the fire temple, even if it was too quiet at times for his liking when meditation was required for the monks, and given his own nature, could try his paper-thin level patience. The monks themselves were kind, smiling at him that he could tell were the genuine article, and they were teaching about their way of life. Naruto thought it was weird at first, but wasn't going to say it out loud since they were currently watching over him until the fire daimyo got things squared away in his palace, and was apparently getting to the bottom of some things. Bansai reminded Naruto briefly of the Hokage, but after the old man had betrayed him, the Kyubi Jinchuriki was cautious of the elderly monk at first, and watched for any kind of deceit. After seeing Bansai was not like the old Hokage, the Uzumaki child warmed up to the elderly monk, and soon became the grandson this old man had always wanted in life. Bansai had been instructing Naruto on the fundamentals of being a shinobi monk, which baffled the poor boy at first, but the elderly monk used living examples of what they did at the fire temple. And it was through that did the hyperactive blonde begin to understand. Bonsai-sensei, said Naruto, as he sat in mediation with the elderly monk across from him, and the old man opened his eyes to look at the boy. Yes, Naruto, said Bansai curiously. Why do you think people hate others for things that aren't their fault, said Naruto with the monk letting out a sigh at the question. I suppose it's mainly due to human nature. To be honest, I find the actions of the people in Konoha to be foolish and hypocritical when you consider who your parents were. The leaf sees them as their heroes while condemning their son to a life no one should have to endure, said Bansai, as he along with Naruto had been told by the fire daimyo about the Kyuubi. And the fox being the source of the people hating him. I don't know what to think of the village. The fire daimyo told me that my promise I made to the old Hokage about taking the title is not something I have to honor. It was made under false something. I can pronounce it, but basically he said that the promise was not something I have to keep since the old man lied, and I'm not bound to it unless I wish to honor the promise. Do you think I should keep the promise? Said Naruto, seeing Bansai smile kindly at him. I can't make that decision for you, Naruto. Whether or not you keep the promise is your choice and yours alone. I wouldn't worry right now about honoring the promise, Naruto. You don't have to make that choice until later on when all of your training is nearly or is complete, said Bansai with Naruto smiling at him. Thanks Bonsai-sensei, said Naruto while trying to go back to his mediation and soon found himself in a sewer filled with water and a cage with a giant fox behind it. So the little runt comes to pay me a visit. You don't look like much, said Kyuubi, with Naruto scowling at him. Well, you wouldn't either if your life was like mine, thought Naruto with the fox snarling at him. You little runt. At least you get to walk around and see things. I've been sealed inside your kind for over a century since your Uzumaki ancestor first sealed me into her after I was free from Uchiha Madara's control, said Kyuubi while glaring at the boy and was a bit surprised the kid didn't fear him. You were? I didn't know. Wow. I'm sorry, thought Naruto while looking away, and the fox just looked stunned for a second before letting out a sigh. You didn't know, Kit. I doubt anyone would ever tell you anything about the history I have with the various clans of your village, said Kyuubi while Naruto looked at the fox with curiosity in his blue eyes. You do, thought Naruto while seeing the fox smirk at him. 3 clans actually. The Uchiha clan is one, which I despise for their cursed eyes, and their superiority complex. Another, the Senju clan is nearly extinct, but respected much more than the first, and third is, well, your clan. The Uzumaki clan, said Kyuubi with his vessel looking at him with interest now. Wow. Hey wait. I know about the Uchiha clan. If you are connected to them, then why aren't they hated and shunned like I am in Konoha every day, thought Naruto with the fox scoffing at the boy's nativity. Please. Do you really think this information is common knowledge? The only people who know about this are the members from each of these clans, and every Hokage up until now, said Kyuubi with an image of the Sandaime flashing in the boy's mind and snarled at it. I wonder if my parents would have told even me about you if they hadn't died in sealing you inside me when I was born, thought Naruto with Kyuubi scoffing again. They wouldn't have had a choice in the matter, Kit. Only an Uzumaki can hold me and you were the last after your mother died, said Kyuubi, having listened to the interesting conversation the child had with the fire daimyo and learned this boy was their offspring. So I was going to be your prison no matter what happened that night, thought Naruto sadly with Kyuubi just watching him. Yes. Though the seal would have been different and more constricting than this one due to this particular seal being your father's handiwork. Not to mention, you would have me inside your body at a later age instead of when you were first born, and been strong enough to handle the change without too many complications in holding me, said Kyuubi while Naruto just grimaced. I don't think I would have wanted to be your vessel. It seems wrong to keep you locked away like this, thought Naruto seeing the fox raise its eyebrow at him. Oh really? And what would you do in the place of your predecessors? Let me out and be allowed to roam free? I wasn't the nicest Biju even before Madara used his eyes to control me. What makes you think your actions wouldn't lead to something horribly tragic, said Kyuubi seeing Naruto looking up at him. I don't know. Maybe you're right and you would do something bad. But even if you did, it would be your own choice, and fault for doing it in the first place right after getting free, thought Naruto seeing Kyuubi nodding since the kid did have a point in a weird way. Regardless, there is no avoiding the outcome of what you would become in the future had your parents lived. And the only difference when compared to now is the people of Konoha would have never known, said Kyubi and ended their conversation before kicking the boy out of his head. You spoke to the fox, said Bansai having sensed some of the fox's chakra with Naruto stiffening slightly. I didn't mean to, Bonsai-sensei. I was mediating and suddenly appeared in my mind with him waiting for me. He kicked me out just now too, said Naruto while looking away like he was about to be scolded for doing something stupid. It's all right. Sooner or later you would have talked to Kyubi. Just be mindful of the fox, for they are known tricksters, said Bansai in a friendly teaching tone. I don't think he wants to trick me. Not yet anyway. I think he's just lonely being sealed away for over a century and needs a friend, said Naruto with Bansai looking very surprised since no one had ever considered befriending a Biju before now. And you want to be his friend, said Bansai simply. If he'll let me. Kyubi wouldn't be alone anymore and stuck in that cell by himself, said Naruto with Bansai nodding in thought. You are traveling down an unknown and dangerous path, Naruto. Be mindful when you are talking to him. Just because you want to be Kyubi's friend does not mean he'll want to be in return, said Bansai with Naruto nodding. I know, Bonsai-sensei, but if I don't at least try, then I'm just like all those villagers and shinobi in Konoha that hate me, said Naruto with Bansai smiling at the child. You have a good heart, Naruto. Come. It's time to eat, said Bansai, as he got off the ground, and Naruto followed with his stomach growling. Or was it Kyubi laughing or growling angrily at the notion of being friends with his vessel? The fire daimyo had been informed of Jiraiya's arrival with Tsunade's not being that far off with a young woman and pig following the female Sannin just a few steps behind. The two had come later than he had hoped, but it was to be somewhat expected given their nature, and vices getting the better of them. One was gambling, which no doubt had played a key part in Tsunade's return since her access to the Uzumaki clan account had prevented her debts from being paid. Jiraiya had probably used some of the vast wealth from his own accounts to enjoy some of the time spent in the more seedy places of the elemental countries, so the loss of Namake's clan account didn't hurt the Sannin that much. Still, the loss of the traveling rights for both put a significant cramp on their means to enjoy their vices, and to escape his command to come here. Hence, the order to come here being one they could not ignore. As expected from what he heard from his informants, both Sannin were less than pleased in having their traveling rights revoked, being summoned to see him. And secretly losing all access to the accounts, they both tried to bleed dry. Until he called them out on it, the fire daimyo would not say anything about the matter since neither knew it was by his order the accounts were beyond their reach, but knowing Tsunade's temper, she would eventually crack and say some things before anyone could stop her. Her weakness was centered around her temper when touching a personal subject, which the woman had it in spades after losing those close to her. And all he needed to do was poke the festering wound of the Sannin's soul before it exploded. Then all the truth that was the secretion behind it would come out and the fire daimyo would use his own method for handling this untreated scar on both Sannin. Soon enough, both shinobi entered his office, the seals doing their job in preventing them both from using chakra, but didn't stop Tsunade's genjutsu from functioning. And the fire daimyo ignored that fact for now. Both Sannin sat down in their respective seats, both were glaring at him, and yet were showing signs of being cautious when inside this room after feeling the effect of being just a normal person. The woman with Tsunade was also cautious, but more respectful to the fire daimyo, and bowed slightly to show she was in fact honored to be in this room with him. Thank you both for coming, said the fire daimyo with both Sannin giving a polite nod, though Tsunade's face showed she was only giving it only because he outranked her. When the fire daimyo gives an order to come visit him, we obey, said Jiraiya with a smile on his face now while trying to lighten the mood between the three of them while Shizune still looked nervous despite everything. Forgive me for not believing you, Jiraiya-san. I find some of the information regarding certain things to question my faith in you too and the Sandaime Hokage, said the fire daimyo seeing both of them were shocked by this. Sarutobi-sensei? What did he do, said Jiraiya while Tsunade was shocked to hear the fire daimyo was actually questioning them about anything. I've already spoken to the Hokage separately about this and ordered him not to contact you regarding what I've learned so I could speak to you two personally, said the fire daimyo while seeing the two Sannin looking a bit concerned. About what, said Tsunade seeing the fire daimyo look from her to Jiraiya. Uzumaki Naruto, said the fire daimyo and instantly he saw them stiffen slightly. What about him? He's happy and safe in Konoha being loved by its people, said Jiraiya while trying to put on a happy face to hide his nervousness. Is he? Are you sure, said the fire daimyo raising an eyebrow at him. Well, yeah. Why wouldn't he be? Sarutobi-sensei is watching him. Protecting him from harm, said Jiraiya, while Tsunade's hands were trying not to turn into fists. Your information is outdated, Jiraiya. Uzumaki Naruto is no longer in Konoha, said the fire daimyo, seeing Jiraiya looking shocked and fearful, while Tsunade narrowed her eyes at the feudal lord. What? When? How? Said Jiraiya, getting out of his seat, but the samurai guards in the room just grabbed by his shoulders and forced back into the seat. You took him from Konoha, didn't you? Said Tsunade accusingly. Someone had to help the boy. You two were elsewhere instead of fulfilling your duties as being Naruto's godparents, said the fire daimyo, seeing them tense up at having their secret found out. We thought it was better for Naruto due to certain problems he would get by having our attention, said Jiraiya, seeing the fire daimyo's eyes narrowing at him. You mean being of the Yondaime Hokage, said the fire daimyo, with Jiraiya looking shocked that he knew. But, sensei, he made sure to keep such information a secret, said Jiraiya, while the fire daimyo snarled in fury at the fool in front of him. It wasn't hard to figure out, Jiraiya. There was only one Uzumaki in Konoha before the boy's birth, and I performed the wedding of that woman to the Yondaime Hokage myself, said the fire daimyo, seeing Jiraiya looking uneasy now. Why are we here? Said Tsunade, knowing the man wanted them both here for something else aside from what was already exposed. I ordered you here because I wanted to know why you abandoned that boy to the village, which hated him for holding Kyuubi, and not protect him when he needed it most, said the fire daimyo, seeing the two sannin look at each other for a second before looking back at him. We thought Sarutobi-sensei would, said Jiraiya, but he was silenced by the daimyo's fist hitting the desk and causing it to shake, while the feudal lord's fury-filled eyes were burning a hole through the heads of the sannin in front of him. Don't you dare try to put all the blame on the Sandaime. I have had enough of him already, and you too will share the blame for this act of injustice against this boy. Do you honestly think I would order you here unless I knew everything about what you did? You are here to answer my questions regarding Uzumaki Naruto, said the fire daimyo, seeing the two sannin shift again. Did you know because of Naruto that Kushina is dead? That the woman I thought of as a daughter was killed by her own son? Said Tsunade, while the click down of one of the samurai guards, getting ready to unsheath his sword should she make any move against the feudal lord, was made. So you blame Kushina's death on her own son? That's your reason? The boy didn't have anything to do with her death. Kyuubi did. Of course, the fox is sealed within Naruto, so it's no real surprise you would come to the belief that by hurting the prisoner would also suffer, and you would get some measure revenge. What about you, Jiraiya? Do you hate the boy because his father is dead? Do you blame Naruto for the death of your students? Said the fire daimyo, while blowing off her explanation like it was pathetic and pointless. I think you already know my answer, Daimyo-sama, said Jiraiya, with the man nodding. I believe I do. Your actions for the past 7 years in neglecting the boy and your duty to him speak for themselves. Hence why I order you cut off from both the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan accounts after I noticed the fortune from them being decreased drastically all these years by your hands, said the fire daimyo, seeing shock on Jiraiya's face and anger on Tsunade's own. You had no right, said Tsunade, getting up from her chair, but a hand to one shoulder and a blade to the side of her neck told the sannin not to press her luck. I don't? Are you saying the fire daimyo of Fire Country has no right to interfere in the Leaf Village's affairs? A shinobi village, which resides in my country, and in my lands that I rule, said the fire daimyo, seeing the slug sannin sit down though the sword was removed her neck now. Daimyo-sama, you must understand said Jiraiya, but was silenced by the glare the ruler of Fire Country gave him, and knew his words were only provoking the man. I understand perfectly, Jiraiya. You two were draining the Uzumaki and Namikaze clan accounts dry, so when Naruto did have the right to them they would be depleted down to nothing. He would be stuck in Konoha and relying on the village for financial purposes, so leaving for greener pastures was out of the question. I am well aware the village took more than enough from both accounts with your blessing, while each of you spent a hefty sum on your own personal vices. You Senju Tsunade have been using the Uzumaki clan account to pay off outrageous gambling debts you racked up from your time in casinos, if not spending it on sake at bars. Jiraiya here has been spending money from the Namikaze clan account while having more than enough money in his own account from the smutty books he writes while supposedly living the life of a hermit. Am I wrong? Said the fire daimyo, seeing neither one answer. What do you intend to do with them, Daimyo-sama? Said Shizun, knowing she herself could be punished for Tsunade's actions just by being with her, while fire daimyo looked at her now. The mouse speaks. First, I hereby order you two back to Konoha, and to stay there unless I say otherwise, said the fire daimyo, with the two sannin shouting in protest at this order. You can't. My spy network. My research, said Jiraiya frantically while going on about how he needed to be out in the field and see the pretty ladies for inspirational purposes for his next book. I refuse to go back to Konoha. After all I've lost, you expect me to go back there, said Tsunade furiously while rambling on about the losses she'd suffered in Konoha. Shut up, yelled the fired daimyo standing up at last with fury in his voice that made the two Sannin sit down while shaking like children at the sudden outburst. Scary, thought Shizune seeing the man glaring at the two Sannin that she thought he would give the order to have them both killed right there. I have had enough of your whining and complaining like spoiled children. That is what you are to my eyes. The Sandaime didn't have the courage to discipline the two of you in your genin years, but I will now. And I know of the perfect punishment befitting the many crimes that you committed against Uzumaki Naruto. As of this moment, you two are going to be dirt poor, and live in Konoha, living off very little that I allow to be given. Jiraiya, all the money you have in your account made writing those smutty books now belongs to Naruto. And you will refill the Namake's clan account back to what it was to the correct amount, plus interest. Any and all money from those books now goes to him, said the fire daimyo while the man looked like he was ready to have a heart attack. But how will I live? I need money to eat food, a house to live in, and all the other basic essentials, said Jiraiya pleadingly. You claim to be hermit, correct? Living off the land without relying on things others take for granted? Do what you claim to be, Jiraiya, and suck it up, said the fire daimyo while Jiraiya just whimpered. This is not happening. This is not happening, thought Jiraiya with his mind shattered at the implication of the feudal lord's command. The same goes for you, Senju Tsunade. As of this moment, any money in the Senju clan account is going to the Uzumaki clan's account to bring the numbers up. And you will work at the hospital with all the money you would make going to the account too. You both will keep doing this to make sure that all 7 years and more interest have been factored into the accounts you pilfered so greedily to satisfy your vices, said the fire daimyo, seeing Tsunade looking furious. You can't just deny me the Uzumaki clan account. I am an Uzumaki by blood on my grandmother's side, said Tsunade seeing the fire daimyo looking even madder. And you left one of your own to suffer needlessly. All the more reason to deny you the right to the account, said the fire daimyo while Tsunade was starting to show signs of panicking. I have gambling debts that need to be paid. How will I pay them if I give all my money to that brat, said Tsunade with the fire daimyo showing he didn't really care. Whore yourself out to the men in Konoha for a substantial fee or the men you owe debts to. I don't care how you pay off the debts you owe, but I expect them all to be paid off separately from the money that's gained from working in Konoha's hospital. I'll even supply the necessary funding to that special project of yours to have medic Nin be integrated into shinobi squads for battle to help reduce fatalities, said the fire daimyo, seeing the woman shaking with rage and despair at his words. What is to become of myself, daimyo-sama, said Shizune while worried for her own life now. You? That is a good question. Tell me your name, little mouse, and who do your loyalties lie with, said the fire daimyo seeing the woman look at Tsunade, who was glaring at her, and telling the younger woman not to leave her side. My name is Kato Shizune. I have been Tsunade-sama's assistant and student since she first left Konoha. I am a skilled medic Nin and could be of any use you deem fit, daimyo-sama, said Shizune seeing the man nod. That's good to hear, but you didn't answer my question regarding your loyalties lied. And I am not blinded by the fact Tsunade here is glaring daggers at you in a silent command to stay with her through this punishment, said the fire daimyo with Shizune's view of Tsunade now being blocked by a samurai so she could focus on the feudal lord asking about where her loyalties resided. With all due respect, daimyo-sama, I cannot answer. I feel conflicted, said Shizune with the fire daimyo, surprisingly smiling at her. I understand. I wish to show you a medical file on Uzumaki Naruto my agents acquired, and since you are a medic Nin I think it's only fair you read it, said the fire daimyo, as he produced the thick file. And saw Shizune was hesitant to even open it. All of this is Uzumaki Naruto's medical file, said Shizune, as she walked over to his desk, and slowly took the file with trembling hands. Yes. The boy has paid a heavy price for your teacher's neglect in protecting him in the last 7 years, said the fire daimyo seeing Shizune read over the file and saw her eyes begin to water. He's been stabbed multiple times in the back? Second-degree burns from being set on fire? Bones needing to be reset along the ribs and legs from being struck by blunt objects of all different kinds, said Shizune, as she kept reading the same type of thing over. And over with reports from some of the doctors leaving cruel comments about how Naruto's attackers should have finished the job when they had the chance. Yes. Even then, the doctors did a poor job in resetting them, and the QB itself had to do the job they failed to do completely themselves, said the fired daimyo, with Shizune dropping the file on his desk and looking horrified at Tsunade. Don't you dare leave my side, Shizune. Who was it that trained you? Who was there for you when your uncle died and had no one left? I am your sensei, and I expect you to side with me, said Tsunade with Shizune glaring at her and surprisingly slapped the Sannin across the face. Side with you? It was because of you and your hatred for this boy that he suffered enough already. But even now it's still not enough for you, is it, Tsunade? That all this pain Naruto endured be enough to remove any hatred of QB from your soul? Well, I won't side with you on this. I put up with your gambling, drinking, and the occasional running from debt collector until the money was gathered to pay them off. But I won't stand by you on this matter. My loyalty is to the fire daimyo and Uzumaki Naruto, said Shizune, seeing Tsunade's face now filled with shock and betrayal. You're betraying me? Me? After all I've done for you, said Tsunade before she was restrained by several samurai. And what have you done to Naruto? Even now you don't feel any regret for betraying him. Nor does he, yelled Shizune before she pointed a finger at Jiraiya, who stayed silent the entire time and refused to look at the younger woman. He killed Kushina. That monster is the reason she's dead, yelled Tsunade defiantly. Enough, yelled the fire daimyo, making both women stop their verbal war before it got too out of control. Daimyo-sama, I humbly wish to appoint myself as Uzumaki Naruto's personal doctor, and pledge on my life to your service. I swear to never betray either of you, said Shizune, bowing to the fire daimyo and wished for him to accept her request. I accept your request, Shizune-san. After these two leave the capital for Konoha, I will arrange for you to see Naruto, and watch over him to ensure any severe injury can be healed, said the fire daimyo before motioning his guards to take the two sannin out of the room and eventually out of his home. I will do everything in my power to protect Naruto, said Shizune, as she saw the feudal lord in front of her nod, and his face went from happy to serious. I will hold you to that, Shizune. For the day you betray this vow is the day you die, said the fire daimyo, with the woman nodding and accepting such a consequence. Shizune had no intention of betraying the boy. She was not Tsunade. This was all for now. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it and that you will be back for more. Please like, share and subscribe. See ya.